Good evening, Fantasy Goats. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody's had a really good week. I can't wait to talk about what's going on in the Combine and NFL news tonight. But first, I'm your Commissioner Rhino, and to my right is Combine Connor. How you doing tonight, brother?
I am doing pretty good. I have been waiting for the tight ends. This like this tight end class, it's like they just keep throwing talent after talent after talent. The guys are running their 40s, and it was like every tight end that came after them was running faster than the tight end before him,
Cool.
and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
This
can't
is
wait.
such a great class.
Let's talk about some news first.
hmm
Hey, the drama's over in Ramland.
Oh yeah,
Matthew
that lasted
Stafford
like 2 minutes.
reportedly signed a 4-year, $160 million extension, 130 million guaranteed today. And then just after
hmm
that, they locked up their left tackle for 3 years, 57 million
Oh
at
nice.
35,
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the numbers for Stafford again?
presumably 160 million, 4-year, 160 million extension,
Oh wow,
130
they gave
million,
him four.
130 million guaranteed.
Wow,
Yeah.
good lord.
He now retract a little bit. It came real close to being traded to the Raiders. If the Raiders
I'm
would have
sure.
buzzed, if the Raiders would have buzzed on doing a pick swap, Rams get number 6 and they get number 26 and get a second, and Rams get a second,
Yeah,
then it might have gone down. But you know,
that's a
civil heads
steep price
prevailed,
though
and
for them to give up six.
yeah, it was that was the mark that they were trying to get the number 6, and the
Wow.
Raiders wouldn't do it. So good for them. Good for
Yeah,
them, man.
right?
Yeah. Um, it's it's a good contract for the Rams. It's still somewhat salary. It's not going to hit the salary cap too hard for them. But the most important part was them signing Alec Jackson right afterwards. The 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
7 million. The franchise tag was at 20 million for left tackles, so they got him for just under the franchise tag at 19 million,
Mm-hmm.
with 35 million guaranteed at 3 years. So that's good. That's good.
That's not bad, yeah.
I looked more into the Rams. I don't know the extent of it. I just looked it up. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think they could relook at things after the first year, but it's still he got paid. He got paid, and it wasn't. He would have gotten paid more if he went to the
Mm-hmm.
Raiders. But if you're Stafford, just put on Stafford's hat and think like
Mm-hmm.
Stafford. You're set with the Rams. You got a good coach. You know your offensive system. You have freaking a badass running back. You have a badass receiver. You have a good offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Good front office. Top could be a top 10, top 15 defense next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
or go the Bears, make more money, but not have the security of front office, or
Mm-hmm. I mean,
not knowing
and
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 not knowing the offensive system. Now you can speak a little bit more on the offensive system because you're Ohio State guy. I don't know how Chip Kelly's system would have equated to Stafford at all.
well, I mean, I think that Chip Kelly's system is one of those systems that like they make it makes your job easier like pre with like the pre-snap stuff.
Okay.
So like it's a lot of like mismatches, a lot of like, figuring out what coverage that the defense is in. So I think that Stafford would have been great in that system, but I don't think that talent wise that the Raiders have the same talent level as the Rams, let alone like you said, like the coaching, yeah, it's Pete Carroll, but it's year one of Pete Carroll. It's year one of Chip Kelly. He has continuity in LA
Yep.
with the Rams. He's familiar with, Puka Nakua already. Les Snead is a great GM, so Les Snead is just gonna make Stafford's job easier next year.
Yeah.
This draft, there's some really good like DBs in this draft, and I think that the Rams could pick up one or two DBs.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a linebacker. So yeah, I think the smartest choice for him was to stay in LA because
Yeah.
that's at least the place that gives him a shot at getting another title before he retires.
Exactly. And it gives them 2 year. I mean, they'll give a 2 year window. You know.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
guess is
I think
they'll draft a quarterback,
yeah,
maybe
they'll
a
probably.
quarterback in this draft.
hmm
They might not. I still think um, I think they'll put all their chips in the middle of the table next
Yeah.
year for Arch Manning.
Well, if
You
he
know,
comes out next year.
if he comes out next year.
Hmm.
And then the other not news that didn't break, but supposedly there's a trade that's out there that's been talked about is Green Bay giving up the number 23 pick for and Dontavius Wicks or Romeo Dobbs for DK Metcalf.
Mm, that would be a juicy pick.
That'd be
That would
yeah.
be great for the Packers.
And I think if I was Seattle, I think I'd lean more towards getting Dontavius Wicks and Romeo Dobbs just because of the injury history. But if DK
Mm,
Metcalf went to Green Bay, because we've all, you, me, the Shepherd, we've all talked about how the one thing that Jordan Love was missing was that one go-to
He needs a
alpha,
number one receiver.
major alpha receiver
Hmm.
that he could just get the ball to him and go and not, you know. So
And Jordan,
it'll be interesting next, week or two, or see what happens right there.
see if anything materializes. And
Yeah.
Jordan Love is the kind of quarterback who'll give DK Metcalf a ton of chances too.
Oh yeah. Especially contested balls too.
Hmm.
He likes those contested balls.
Hmm.
And that DK Metcalf's stock would go up, and so would Jordan Love's stock would go up.
Absolutely,
Fantasy
yeah.
wise. Fantasy wise. All right, man. Let's get into combine, brother.
Let's do it.
Who has showed out so far in your opinion in the
Well, I
tight
mean,
end?
there's a lot of guys that have shown out so far. It all depends on which position you want to start with.
Let's go with tight ends, the top two.
The tight ends so far. So Tyler Warren is not participating in any drills at all at the combine.
Okay, let's not even work because we know the top two is Warren and Loveland, right?
Yeah, Loveland, Warren, and Arroyo all not. They didn't test today.
So the ones after that, like the Gunnar Helms, like the Fergusons, those.
Ferguson ran the fastest 40 out of all the tight ends, so he looked the most athletic.
Mhm.
Fanning looked pretty good. He moved really well, but he's one of those like compact like tackle breaking tight ends. I
Right.
saw the comp that they put up for him was Julius Thomas.
And I've seen Johnny Smith for him too,
Yeah, and Johnu Smith. Yeah.
which isn't a bad comp for him. But I like
Hmm.
Julius Thomas because that's Julius Thomas was a stud, man.
He was
God,
a stud.
he
The
won me
person
some.
that
He won me
the
some
person that I
championships.
think I'm sorry. Oh, in
Yeah,
fantasy,
he won
right?
me some championships. Yeah.
Yeah. The person that I think that surprised me with the way he moved today was Mitch Evans. Mitch Evans is a very solid player too. He was injured, I believe,
Uh
two
huh.
years ago, and then he led. I think Notre Dame. No, he was injured 3 years ago, and then he
Okay.
led Notre Dame in receiving the last two seasons.
To what now?
I think he led Notre Dame in receiving the last two seasons.
Oh, really? Well,
I believe so. I think that's what the stat was.
that could be true because Notre Dame's receiving core
Hmm.
wasn't even, wasn't really talked about. So, um,
Right.
what about on the
Yeah, but
defensive side?
he looks pretty good. He has pretty good size. He's almost like he's 6'6", just about. He's almost 260.
Who ran their fastest time?
Ferguson,
Ferguson. What was his time?
4.64.
Oh, damn. So that means that
Yeah, it's pretty fast.
yeah, not as fast as the defensive lineman. Pace ran a 4.47.
Oh my God. Yeah, the defensive linemen were running.
So who do you think maybe hurt themselves a little bit?
Yeah,
Right.
and then the corners.
Well, the corners. I know they had the one kid ran.
Yeah, the corners were super fast.
Yeah, the one kid. I didn't see the name. He's 6'2", but he ran like a 4.4. I think he is out of Kentucky, and they're saying his stock is going
But
up
would
now.
you? Oh yeah, Yeah, Hairston. I think he
Yeah,
ran. I think he ran faster than a 4.4. I think he ended up
oh,
running
the
like a
4.3.
4.39.
Yeah, at 6'2". That's
Yeah, I think it was like a 4.39. Mhm.
so. What players? What? Okay, so of all the positions, let's go by the positions that have gone so far. Offense and defense. Who's other than the tight ends? Who stuck out in your head, in your mind?
Well, the tight ends are the only offensive positions that went. The other positions were all defense so far. Because
So
the
what do you
running backs and the quarterbacks they're going tomorrow
have wide receivers
and I
tomorrow?
believe Sunday.
Yeah, I know it's tomorrow's the
Yeah, wide receivers too. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah.
and so today was the DBs, and yesterday was defensive lineman, correct?
So the tight ends were the only ones were the only offensive players. DBs.
Which ones?
Yeah. Yesterday was D line. Yesterday was essentially front seven.
Yeah, and which ones stood out in your mind yesterday?
Shamar Stewart stood out for me yesterday. James Pierce, of course. Um, Landon Jackson from Arkansas, he tested really well. Who else? The guys from Georgia did really well.
The Nolan, right?
Um,
Nolan or Mullen, or I know.
Samel Mondon Jr. was one of
Yeah,
them. Um, who else? Jahad Campbell from Alabama. They all tested really well. Like the linebackers, they're all super athletic. The D linemen are super athletic. Who was this guy?
there. I read that
Ty
somebody
Robinson from Nebraska. He's an animal.
Mason Graham. Did he go? Did he test out?
Who?
Mason Graham.
Mason Graham? I don't remember seeing him test. Yeah, I
That's
don't think he tested today.
him and Abdul Carter, the two defense players are going to probably go 1-1-2 in the
Doubt it.
draft.
Doubt it.
You
Somebody in
don't
that
think
top
so?
three is taking a quarterback.
No. Not draft wise, but like the first two defense players taken
Oh,
in the
like
draft.
defensive linemen? I don't know. The defensive linemen are stacked this year. Like there's a ton of guys who can go like 1, 2. Like Oregon's DT Derek Harmon. He could be one of those guys that
Yeah,
could go. That could either be the first or the second D lineman taken. Shamar Stewart, Tyleek Williams is a really good one too. So like I don't even know like because I feel like a lot of these defensive linemen, it's either they're like really big or they're really athletic or like they're like some type of anomaly where they run really fast. So it's like I don't know right now what really separates these guys and if they're even separated by much.
right. I read that some 400-pound guy did a 36-inch vertical leap today.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ,
400 pounds.
that is insane,
Yeah.
insane.
So what are we
Yeah,
looking?
they had a couple of D tackles that were running under sub 5.
Damn, that's fast. I think Fisk ran like a 4.8 last year. So I know they're doing a side by side with him and somebody else. I saw a clip of it uh,
Mm-hmm.
yesterday.
Yeah, 4.8 for a D tackle is pretty fast.
Yeah, that's real fast. But it's sometimes the 40 doesn't equate. I think sometimes it's the one drill when they get off the cone drill that if it's
Mm-hmm.
faster than
Yeah,
right
it's
there
usually
than
the cone
40,
drill or whatever. Hmm.
that's a little bit more important.
Or any of the drills that measure like explosiveness.
That's it,
Like I
explosiveness.
think I think the long jump is more of an indicator of explosiveness than the 40.
Yeah, that exactly. That's how I look at it too. Tomorrow we have the receivers and running backs and quarterbacks going. Give me some. Give me some
Mhm.
not other than. Oh wait, let me first. Travis Hunter. What
Mhm.
I know he's gonna run with the DBs. Do you think he's gonna run the receivers too?
Well, he's not participating at all. Yeah, he
He's
showed
not.
up, but he's not participating in any of the drills. No, he's not doing anything except for interviews.
Something
Mhm.
I think kind of hurts the combine a little bit when some of these big names don't want to do anything. I know they want to run the pro day and stuff, everything. So, what position do you think he will play in the NFL? Do you think he'll do 50-50, or do you think he'll do like 60-40 defense?
That's a really good question, and honestly, I don't know because like we haven't seen we haven't seen a guy like that before, and there have been other guys that have played both sides of the both sides in the NFL, but not as much as he has. He was averaging like 160 snaps per game or something crazy like that.
Yeah,
So I don't really know. I guess it depends on whichever position is a bigger hole for whatever team drafts him. So like if you were to get drafted by let's say the Patriots, the chances are that they trust their corners enough that they would have him like play receiver 70 to 75% of the time. And if he did play receiver, he'd be their wide receiver one day
yeah,
one as soon as
yeah.
he steps into the building. So I think that that's where they would probably want to use him the most and like use him on like screens, gadget plays, and stuff like that. And then they'll probably have him on some like nickel packages or special packages on defense. But he says he wants to do both, and he says his body's in good enough shape. So maybe somebody will try to give him both.
I think he's like Charles Woodson 2.0 to me
Mhm.
because Charles
Yeah.
Woodson he would play probably 85% of the defense, but then they'd have packages for him
Mhm.
until he got older. Then those packages went bye bye because he got older. So he
Right.
predominantly played defense with the quarterbacks and running backs and receivers going. Give me some not the main names, not that you're looking forward to, like quarterbacks. Give me three quarterbacks that you think if they show up, their stock will go up.
I think guys like Tyler Shuck has a
Yeah,
good chance of increasing his stock. I
yeah, he
think Jalen.
talk about him right now.
hmm I think Jalen Milrow has a good chance of increasing his stock because as of right now, they're talking about him as just like a project
Right.
quarterback. But if he can come out and he can complete some plays, he can look good in some throwing in some like throwing drills. Maybe somebody will think that he's not as raw as everyone is making him out to be, and they'll give him a chance. Um, let's see.
I'm looking forward to the kid from Canada. 6'4", I forget
Which kid?
Hegel's Hegelsteth or something like that. He's like 6'4", 235. He played in the
What
Shrine
team does he
Bowl.
play for?
What's that?
What team did he play
He
for in
played for
college?
Canada. He's from Canada. They got
Oh,
invite
he's
to the
from
combine.
Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so he's going to be showing up, and he's the one person he was playing in the Shrine Bowl, and he stood out to me 6'4",
Mhm.
235. And I think if he shows he's got a good arm strength, he looked pretty mobile too. I don't know how fast he'll run,
Mhm.
but if he does good, his stock will go up.
That's pretty cool.
I think Ryan Leonard. I think if he can show
Mhm.
that
Larry Leonard could. Yeah.
if he shows he has a decent arm, then he could do good too. His stock
Yep.
could go up. So it'll be interesting. I'm
I
looking
mean,
forward to
Dylan Gabriel,
yeah, and I'm looking forward
he could end up getting a shot.
to my boy
Who?
Quinn Ewers. We'll
Uh,
see what he does.
Quinn Ewers. I mean, listen, Quinn Ewers is okay. Quinn Ewers is all right. Like he's not garbage, but I don't know. Like I feel like again he'd have to go to a good situation.
I get he played with an
He'd
oblique
have to
injury all
go
last
to a
year.
good situation.
Good situation be the Rams,
Hmm.
but he
Yeah, and that's also another thing too. Like because of his poor pocket presence, he gets hurt a lot.
yeah, but he's mobile enough to get to move around though too. If he wants to, he
He doesn't
just
really know how to navigate the pocket as well as he.
no,
Yeah, I
no,
mean, yeah, but you have to have a feel. He's kind of like I always say his comp for me is Gardner Minshew because it's like they can both run, they can use their legs, they can make some plays. You know, if the play is drawn up, if the player is they're trying to throw it to is wide open, like yeah, sure they'll make the play, but you can't expect them to like elevate the other players around them and like franchise per se. At least in my
right.
opinion.
What about who do you who's a sleeper other than like slow? That's not really being talked about. That might if they ball out, will move up
At what position?
at quarterback. Ones that somebody that's not really getting talked about a lot, but
At
has
quarterback?
shown. Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know. 'Cause I mean,
What about Kyle McCord?
somebody who's not being talked about a lot, I guess. Kyle McCord is a pretty good one. Yeah. I feel like Kyle McCord could be one of those like under the radar guys.
Hmm.
Um,
We think of
yeah, Tyler Shuck is mine because
yeah,
I feel like he has the prototypical size and he can make some things happen.
dude. He's 26 years old. He played for 7 years in the college ranks. 26.
Will Howard is a name that's going under the radar too.
Yeah. What do you think about the comparison of
Who?
Jackson Dart? What's that? What do you think of the comparison of Jackson Dart to Bo Nix? They're saying that Bo Nix is or Jackson Dart is this year's Bo Nix.
I mean, it's possible. I can definitely see the comparisons, but I think that I'm not sure that Jackson Dart is 6'2", 225, and hold on. Yeah, Jackson Dart is 6'2", 225, and Bo Nix is 6'2",
I think that
217. Yeah, and they have similar playing styles. They're two guys who had a ton of experience in college.
I think the
So
comparison
because
lies
of
in the
that, the
fact that
transition to the NFL might be.
yeah, I think the
I'm sorry,
comparison
you said
lies
what?
in I think the comparison lies in the fact that last year Bo Nix was talked about as maybe a second round draft pick, but the closer after the combine, closer we got the
Hmm.
draft, there's more and more talk about him moving in the first. And that's what Jackson Dart's talk. That's almost the same talk right now that they have about Jackson Dart is the fact that he
I mean,
he, he
I feel like
they said that he was well spoken today. Um, just like Bo Nix. Bo Nix was well spoken in interviews and stuff. So it's just kind of interesting.
hmm.
So what about let's talk about
That's
receivers.
good. All he has to do is just keep it up.
Yeah. What wide receivers other than the main
Uh,
like three or four. First, first because we were talking about this earlier today. Isaiah Bond over under 4.2.
under. He's talking about some. He's gonna run a 4.20. I don't believe it.
He 4.2 or 4.1.
I don't believe it. I think it's all just wishful thinking. I know he's supposed to be one of those fast guys, but yeah, no, I don't believe it.
Him and Armin Smith from Alabama. Is it from Alabama, right? Smith from Bama is supposed to be pretty fast too. Um, the
From
one kid,
isn't he from Georgia?
Georgia, yeah. They're saying that
Yeah.
he might be around the 4.2 range too.
I'm interested to see. Yeah, I'm interested to see what Tess Johnson runs
Yeah, because if he does good, his stock will go up too. Because he's not
because he's
really
supposed to be
right now.
another one of those
Right now they're
guys who's
saying
supposed to be
maybe
really fast.
yeah they're saying right now probably fourth or fifth round for Tez Johnson. The one kid that I'm seeing talked about a lot is Thornton type.
Yeah, most likely.
That Thornton might be one of those burners too. It's going to surprise a lot of people that can move up in the
Mhm.
in the draft.
Mhm.
Trey Harris is somebody that I know some of the big boys out there are talking about, and I've seen some footage of him breaking DB's ankles. He's filthy,
Mhm.
filthy, filthy route runner.
Trey Harris is AJ Brown.
Was that?
Trey Harris, in my opinion, is the closest thing to AJ Brown.
Oh, really?
Trey
And
Harris,
then,
in my
oh, yeah,
opinion, is the closest thing to AJ Brown.
right on. So, what receivers are you looking
Yep.
forward to? Yeah, what receivers are you looking forward to? Who do you think can help their stock?
I think a guy like Taj Felton from Maryland. He's a shiftier, like slot guy. He's 6 feet, 186. He's very shifty. He's very like tough. He's a very productive guy. I think he could jump up the charts if he tests well tomorrow. I like Torrey Horton from
Colorado.
Colorado State. Players like Nick Nash. I think a, I think a lot more people will be able to have eyes on him, even though he was a triple crown winner in college this past season.
Mm-hmm. Is there any receivers from the smaller schools?
Yeah, there's some very solid like wide receiver twos.
And let's talk running backs. What running backs are you looking forward to? Who do you think? Give me
All the
like
running
your
backs. The running back class is just like it's like the tight end class. It's so deep.
yeah. Give me some that might surprise people. Do you have any that might surprise people?
Um, Somebody that might surprise people. DJ Giddens from Kansas State. I think he looks a lot more explosive than what people think. He's 6'1", 212, so he's not a small guy. Phil Maffa might be a guy who tests pretty well. He's a pretty heavy back, but he
What
moves pretty decent too.
what would be his comp?
Those are two guys that I like.
What would be their comps? Do you think?
DJ Giddens, I think his comp would be David Johnson. I think that's
Oh,
his comp, and then Phil Maffa. I think Phil Maffa is more like a Beanie Wells. Like he's a very big back, or like a Najee Harris.
Beanie Wells didn't last so long in the NFL though, so hopefully that's not his comp. I mean, hope he doesn't. You know what I mean? He played good in college, but he didn't last too long in the NFL.
Yeah, hopefully.
What, what about his name's Darvin Hams out of Delaware State.
Mhm.
He's There's a lot of talk about him. Um, I believe his comp that I saw was like this year's Isaiah Corando, but heavier. Um, I think
Mm.
Neil
Mhm.
Neil out of Kansas.
I could see that.
think Neil out of Kansas, if he does good, his stock will go up. He's something I'm looking forward to seeing.
Mhm.
He kind of reminds me of Brian Robinson, but a little bit maybe faster, a little bit faster.
He could be a sneaky back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then my guy from SC, Woody Marks. I want to see what he does. He
Mm.
might be able, if he does good, he might be
He's a
able.
little bit shiftier.
Yeah, and plus
Yeah.
he runs through tackles
Mhm.
like Isaiah Pacheco does.
Mhm. Woody Marks. Mhm.
Well, shoot, is there any other players that interest you on any other positions that we didn't talk about?
Mhm. Yeah, he's a very tough runner.
Any other positions? Any other players in the positions that we
I'm
didn't talk
sorry.
about? Any other players that we didn't talk about that stick out to you?
Well, I know the safeties went today,
Uh,
and the safety out of South Carolina, Nick Amanwari or something like that. His athletic comp is DK Metcalf. He's like 6'3", 225 pounds, and
as a safety,
he ran a 4.3, had a 43-inch vertical, almost 11-inch broad jump. Like he's a
good
freak of
lord!
nature.
So they
Hmm.
comped a safety to DK Metcalf.
To
That's
DK
crazy.
Metcalf, yeah, because that's how he's built too. That's how he's built too. He's built like DK Metcalf. They did like the Simo cam, and he was right there with him. It's pretty crazy.
Oh, right on. What about other defensive players that stood out? DBs or safeties or linebackers?
The corners stood out. The corners were very fast. Um, The linebackers were okay. I think a lot of the linebackers are hybrids, so a lot of
Hmm.
them worked with the defensive ends too. They worked on like pass rushing moves and stuff like that. It seems like there's a lot of those guys coming out this year. But
But
the guys at the top, Jalen Walker, Jahad Campbell.
on the defensive side, what's the deepest position? And do you think that position will be like the running back and tight end position will push people further down because it's so deep?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, on defense, the D line is deep. The D tackles and D ends coming out this year, they're gonna push a lot of offensive guys. Like the way that last year there was 14 offensive players taken in the first 14 picks. This year could be a year where majority of the top 20 picks are defensive guys. There's probably just gonna be a couple of corners, maybe one or two tackles, maybe, and then I expect the rest of them to be defenders. I expect it to be corners, safeties, DTs, defensive
Oh, I think we are you there? I think we're gonna call the night goats. Be back be back Tuesday. And so everybody have a nice weekend. Be the difference, make a difference, and be blessed. Thank you.
Have a great one.